Okay, okay, okay. Hey, hey, hey. Okay, mic check 1 2 1 2. Let me know you can hear me. Okay, welcome everyone to the Pro Trader and Plus, ISM Manufacturing. My name is Lee Goldstein, Trading Director, 10-Minute Trades. Please remember, I'm not a financial advisor. All the trades we discuss are for educational purposes. So definitely keep that in mind and trade carefully, if you will. Okay, good morning, everyone. You should be able to see everything. We are streaming this on YouTube, so I want to say hello to everyone on YouTube. Summer's over, and we're back to work. So the markets are just opening, and it is. I hate when the summer's over. I don't love the heat, but I love the summer. Labor Day is like the last of the last. Really, back to work. So it's a tough day. A lot of people probably aren't even back yet, but we are. So we're going to look at the ISM Manufacturing report. Make sure that you got the current DMM. We made some last minute changes to the daily trade report because there are testing results that just are too good to ignore. And it's important to just stay on top of what's working. So that's the key. Okay, so let's look at the DMM first. And like I said, I do want to thank everybody that's watching us on YouTube. Thanks for joining. All right, So I don't know. Then I love the news this weekend. My favorite story. I always like to find a favorite story of the weekend. My favorite story this weekend was all the people that wrote. Did you see? I think it was Chase Bank. If you wrote a check, went to an ATM, right, and deposited the fake check. I mean, let's say you had a Chase checking account with no money in it. You could write a check for like $5,000, deposit it in the ATM, and the ATM would give you $5,000. So a whole bunch of people did it, of course, because, that's the way people are. They don't think that there's going to be a price to pay. And then Chase started freezing accounts and debiting accounts, and just a crazy story. It's bank fraud, basically. If you can't write checks if you don't have the money backing it up. That was my favorite news story. Just, it's not funny. I mean, really, if you think about it, of course it's hilarious, but it's not funny because regular people need money. We always need money. It's the way life is. There's never enough money, no matter what, no matter how much you make. Never enough. It's probably true of billionaires. It's never enough. So we've got a report that's working very well on gold. It can chop. I mean, I've got to say that it can chop, but we have a gold breakout. And also the ES trap is a very good trap. So you look at the DMM, and gold is pretty reliable. I will say, though, that sometimes the way gold works, because it's gold, sometimes it's hard to get profits. I mean, it just is. So there's things you can do in the software that can help you to do that. So I'll show you. I'll trade the gold portion in Buellnox, my prop account. And I'm just debating if I want to trade multi-contracts or just trade one. First trade of the week. So let me set up the trap trade first. So the ES has a trap trade. Now, not everybody loves the trap trade. Not everybody wants to take all the risk of a trap trade. So you can reduce your risk on a trap trade by just trading one tier, and that would be the outer tier. So you would trade position size 1 is a 1, position size 2 is a 0, the stop is 20, and then your tier 1 would be 40. That's how you would do that, okay, if you want to reduce risk. Otherwise, you would do tier 1 is 20, tier 2 is 40. The time of the event, if you're using the new version, version 11, which most people should be, it's 9:59:55. If you're using the previous version, you haven't updated, or you're a legacy old timer and you don't want to update for whatever reason, then the way you do time is the time of the event would then be 10 a.m. on the dot if you're Eastern time, and prep seconds 5. So it's either 10 o'clock event, 5 seconds prep for previous software, or just type in 9:59:55 for time of event activation. Okay? It's not that complicated. And then the trap trade, position size 1 is a 1, position size 2 is a 1, stop is 20, tiers are 20 and 40. Remember, when you enable a trap trade, also don't forget to choose the account you're trading on, okay? And then match your charts to the account you're trading on. Okay? And then make sure when you enable your trap trade, you can see all the buttons across the top. This is the taskbar of the trade, of the chart. That's the taskbar of the chart up here. You have your chart trader icon. You've got your BE break even button, close the trade button, adjust, which we're not using right now, cancel the outer tier, and combine your orders buttons. Make sure you can see all of those buttons. If you can't, it's because your chart's too narrow. It's got to be wide enough so you can see all your buttons. Okay? So just make sure that your chart's wide enough. And then if 5 seconds before the event you can't see your orders, it's because your chart is not scrunched tightly enough. I guess we'd call that vertical, right? If your chart is vertically challenged, you might not see all your orders, so just shrink it down a little bit so you see them all. Okay? That's what you need to know for the trap. If you're new and you're wondering about this great clock that we have, you can download it from the room drive on the taskbar in the trade room. Room drive, there's files in that room drive that are very helpful if you're a member. Okay? Then we have the gold setup. And let's see what we got here. So what I'm going to do is, because I'm going to really, this morning I'll concentrate on my trap, and I'll set up a single contract gold trade that I should not have to manage. So our activation time is 9:59:59, right? Hope everybody had a great weekend. In the US, did you go to the beach? 12 bracket. And if you're trading the DMM, as it stands is fine. 10 and 30 on the targets, stop of 20. You know, I would change the target slightly. You know, you could use 9 and 28. Don't use the exact targets on the DMM because everybody's using the same targets. Use your own targets. And look, you can see how much the trade has moved. 63 ticks in August, big move in June, 97 ticks, 47, 95 in April, 68. So you can make your second target 35 ticks, but I don't like to get too greedy on my targets because if it whips, I want it to hit the target first before it whips. Sometimes it'll whip and go back up. Sometimes it'll whip and change direction. So I don't like to be too greedy on the targets. So, you know, you could do something like 8 and 28. You could do 8 and 41. That's not insane, okay, because there's been good moves. But I would recommend more like an 8 and 24, somewhere in there. I would be a little bit conservative. It's Tuesday, but it's like a Monday. It's our first trade of the week. All right. So I was thinking I was going to be conservative. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to be conservative this morning. One position. I'm going to go for a target of blank ticks. All right. Under 20, but close to 20. My stop is 20. And if the market moves 15 ticks in my favor. This is a feature that can try to protect my first target. If the market moves 15 ticks in my favor, I'm going to move the stop to break even plus 11. Okay? So that's what I'm going to do. If you're trading two contracts on gold, then I would use the break even target one stop move, and I would do something like break even minus 5, somewhere in there. So if it is whippy, you can try to protect your first target if it only goes one target by moving your stop automatically. Okay? In my case, if the market goes 15 ticks in my favor, my stop will move to break even plus 11 automatically. That's what if the market moves X ticks does. Those two items work together. Okay? And then I'm going to label the trade GC breakout, BRK. And I'm going to test it. Let me save the template. ISM Manufacturing, one contract GC. Today's date. 9/24 is fine. And then I'm going to check my bracket width by setting time to 0. See what happens if the brackets are too tight. You can't manage the trade because the orders are on top of each other. That's why I do this. Now, there is a trade right now. There's information right now that took place, and it's almost exactly as expected. 47.948. Okay. It does make the market a little jumpy there, but we have not been trading those reports. The 945, they just haven't been good enough. Now, I have changed the trade room schedule this evening. Australia ADP, if you look at the DMM, it's just not worth having a trade room for that trade. If you feel like trading it, it's possible it could move the market, but it's been such a small mover. The 940, the 945 trade, ISM Services, the Chinese news, has never been a mover. It's getting a bit more active. That's why I put it on watch. Okay, so just a heads up. Somebody out there, I know somebody out there is smart. There's a trade, and I believe it's grains. There's a trade on this milk auctions news. Somebody's got to find that trade for me and tell me what it is. I don't know what it is. Years ago, one of our members told me about it, and I never followed it up. And or maybe I looked and it was small and it wasn't worth it. I honestly don't recall. And somehow I believe it's somehow related to New Zealand. I just don't know. Somebody smart out there can find that trade for me. And we'll try and it's milk auctions. I thought it was a dare. It's a grain trade, I believe, of some sort. Anyway, so we have our gold setup. It's a breakout. Triggering at 9:59.59. Okay, I was testing my brackets. Okay, I like my brackets. Putting the time back to 9:59.59. One position, roughly a 20 tick target, a little bit less, a 20 tick stop. If the market moves 15 ticks, the market moves 15 ticks, move stock to break even plus 11 ticks. And then make sure, of course, that your account is on the account that you're trading in. Also label your trade, gold breakout, and then make sure your charts also match the account you're trading in. I don't know if anyone remembers, last month we did not trade this. Yes, 230 CHF was Swiss CPI, Adam, and some people traded it. And I talked to only two members so far. One member had a great winning trade, cash. Another member had a losing trade, I think prop. Last month, ISM, the market was so volatile, we did not trade. And in our testing, there was like over 100 ticks of movement on the ES. The YM had over 300 ticks of movement. But the market was so volatile, I remember that day, that we just didn't feel we could put on a safe trade. Maybe I'm losing my mind, but because it looks like I tried it in Buell Knox anyway. But that's what my notes say. So I have a different attitude these days about my prop account. It was a very difficult whip. Gold was not safe last month, but again, the market was not safe. I'm much more respectful of my prop account than I used to be. That's all I'm going to say. Let's leave it at that. I've had a 100% turnaround in the way that I think about prop trading. Okay, this is July. I mean, let's be honest, all right? If people can deal with truth and honesty, which is very difficult to deal with, you have to deal with the truth and honesty that pretty much everyone's looking to take our money. Gold had a massive breakout in July, massive breakout. And ES had a winning trap. Okay. Definitely a winning trap. I will talk through the trap. My gold is a breakout on the right. Gold, again, gold is extremely volatile, right? Why is it so volatile? It had been, making new highs for quite a while. It's been pushing, pushing, pushing. And it's still over 2,500. But gold is a volatile instrument to trade. Check your time sync, please, everybody. Check your time sync. By going to the website time.is. There's no doubt, that gold has a lot of risk. It is the truth. And these current markets are very volatile. They're not quiet little markets. That's the truth. They're just not. And that's part of the reason why I don't think it's inappropriate to trade just one contract. The first big event of the new trading fall, right? It's not inappropriate to trade micros today. Even though it's a family money trade, it's a family money trade because it has a really strong opportunity of giving you a profit. But it's one of those family money trades that has a lot of risk. So it's important to understand that. Okay? ES is pretty bearish today. You look at the world, there's not a lot of good news in the world. I wish I could say that that's not true. Believe it or not, I'm a very optimistic person. It's with all the bad news in the world, it's hard to be optimistic. There's so much suffering. Let's look at June. I hate the suffering. Okay, watch June. It was a massive gold move. Now, one thing about ISM Manufacturing is you have to separate out the days that it trades with jolts or consumer confidence, right? The ones that we test as being valid for ISM are ISM when it pretty much trades alone. If it's trading with jolts, then the testing is not included, okay? It was a great move in June on gold. And the ES has been a very good trap as well, okay? So let's watch the market. We've got 4.5 minutes roughly. I'd like to see gold calm down a bit. That's one thing you want to see. The ES is pretty much just selling off since the market opened. And again, long holiday weekend, just not a lot of great war news. The Fed cutting rates, the market's already gone way past that already, right? Supposedly that's a foregone conclusion that they're going to cut rates. I think I saw more than $1 trillion. Was it that much? Was put into money market funds last week because it's a way to get interest, low risk interest on your money. That was an interesting article also. How so many people like took money they might have had in savings or whatever, and they bought, they'll buy a CD. You could buy a 6 month CD, or you can probably still put it in a high return savings account. But that Chase story was the best because anytime you think you've got one over on a bank, that's a feel good story until you realize, I mean, come on, it's banks. What's their inventory product? Money. You're not stealing their money. They're not going to let you do it and get away with it, right? So, yeah, if you don't have $5,000 in your checking account, it's probably not advisable to write a check, deposit it into an ATM, and take the 5,000. They're not going to say, "Oh, no problem. Spend it wisely." That's not what's going to happen. All right. But I'll bet you somebody slips through the cracks and they don't catch everybody, right? No matter how you look at it, it's not good press for the bank. I mean, there's systems. They don't have systems that work. Does anyone? You know? Experian. They're supposed to be guarding your credit, right? Or helping you to protect your credit. They were like victims of one of the biggest hacks ever. So they didn't protect everyone's data. I don't know. Systems. Does anything work today? Let's talk about it someday. We could have a whole webinar on systems, hacking. All right, we have a minute. Look, been watching the gold market, the bracket. It's 12. It should be okay. I think we'll get a very quick response to the news. 5 seconds before the news, the brackets will show up for the trap. Here come the orders. Okay, there's the trap orders. So it did not like that gold move. I'm going to manage the trap trade. It only filled one tier. So I'm looking to cancel the outer tier, which I've done, stretching my target, putting my stop to safety. It may trail, it may reverse and take me out, but I'm going to try and trail. The market's going down, it seems, so I'm trying to trail down. I'm a little, all right, so that makes absolutely zero sense. So I have to look at this video and see what the heck is going on here. Hang on, because that makes no sense. The gold move was very unsafe. You have mixed news in the news. Mixed news in the news. Okay? You got 54.9 on prices. You got manufacturing a little bit lower than expected. It's not giant mixed news, but no matter what, gold had a very, very difficult move. It just had a very difficult move. But I want to take a look at the video and see what happened here on this trap. So let's look at the video. Let's look at that video. Give me 1 second. Let me save it. Now, we could have set up an after the news trade. I think gold, just looking at the results, they're not that complicated, the results. Prices were up. You also had construction spending, which is a small part of this report. And always, 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 investing.com is a pain with the news. If you touch the chart, maybe it's me, but it drives me crazy with the calendar. Let me get it one more time. Put the news up. The ES had the only good after the news move. The ES had a good after the news move. But frankly, I have to look at the video because something doesn't make sense. And I'll try and explain it. So ISM Manufacturing and gold, just not a good fit today. Let's look at this video and see what happened. And let me record this too, because keep in mind, so I had to turn off the recording to record this, right, to watch this. So I'm just going to turn the recording back on just to get the analysis recorded. See if I can tell what happened here. So gold had a whipsaw. That's obvious. All right, so let's look at what happened with gold first. All right, so the video right here, we're 15 seconds. The market was not that volatile. You know, it was volatile, but my charts are spread apart also. It was a little bit volatile before the news. But frankly, I would not be surprised. Did anybody make money on gold? Did anybody make money trading gold out there? I'm just curious. Because my burst, if you look at the burst, it wasn't quite as fast as I thought. So it actually went through my target and didn't fill it. You could see it. You could see the line went through the target. So possibly a smaller first target, and it would have had a good trade. So that's a question. I'm just curious if anybody traded gold and had a winning trade. It sounds like everybody had bad fills. Just looking at the speed of the market, it didn't look horrific. It looked difficult, but it didn't look as bad as I thought it would be. Looking at the ES trap, let's see what happened. It looked to me like the trap was perfect. So that's why I'm a little bit surprised that it didn't work. So I want to see what happened here. So you have two orders above and below. Ah, I see what happened. I'm an idiot, is what happened. I totally mistraded it. Look, being truthful here, folks, I made a mistake. I absolutely was certain I was short when I was long. So I definitely mistraded the trade. Not sure it would have mattered, to be honest. I think, in a way, uh, it might have been better for me, to be honest. But either way, I mistraded the trap. So, I mean, look, if you make a mistake, you make a mistake. I made a mistake. I did not trade it properly. But it did not work well because it never properly reversed. Okay? It never reversed. The whole idea, the whole point of a trap is it went down, filled us long, and it kept going down. So it was just a failed trap. It didn't work. Gold, I'm a little bit surprised that nobody had like a 15 or 10 tick target that worked. So that's the trap, no reversal. So that's what failed. And then gold, you look at that whipsaw, that's what didn't work. So that's definitely, it's a shame, but it happens. All right. So nothing we can do about it. When a trade doesn't work, sometimes it just doesn't work. And sometimes you just don't get the fill that you need or that you want. So if you look at what happened on my gold trade, uh, it just went long at the very tip top of the candle, long 25.1860. You can't go long all the way up there, and then there was nowhere to go. There was nowhere to go. It had no profit. No profit. So it's too bad. Too bad. Back to work. Back to work on the prop. So that's what happened on this trade, everybody. It just didn't work. I do want to hang on and we'll go over the schedule. I want to thank everyone on YouTube. Thanks for watching, and hit the notification bell and the like button so you know when we'll be here